Hello, this is Brian from Saga. Today we're going to be replacing the carriage position sensor on top of the carriage on a Saga standard cutter. This is a 720i, it's the stepper version, but the process is the same for any standard Saga vinyl cutter. So unfortunately we need to get up here underneath the carriage and we need to tilt this top plate back. The top plate is fastened into the end plates with fasteners, unfortunately, so in order to get to them we have to remove the end caps. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the left end cap. There's 4 fasteners, 1, 2, and 2 on the back, 3, and 4. Okay, so that's the left side. Same thing with the right side. One, 2. Scooting this roller out of the way, moving the lever arm out of the way. 3. When you remove this end cap, be careful with this cable. You don't want to pull on it, because if you pull on it, you'll detach at the other end from the motherboard. So this is okay. Kind of let it sit like that. So on the top here, you'll see the fasteners that hold the top plate on. What we're going to do is we're going to remove this front fastener. And we're going to be careful because you see this cable is here, and we don't want anything to happen to it. So if we remove this, okay, so be careful with that cable. Then we're going to remove the one on the other side. We're going to pivot the top plate up like that, and then put the fasteners back in to the holes so the cover doesn't come down and pinch that cable. This one's nice and snug, some of them might be loose. Okay, so now we've got this top plate out of the way, and be careful that you don't pull on this too much, because you don't want to also disconnect this cable from the motherboard as well for the keypad. So here's the carriage position sensor. So different boards are going to have different connections. This case we have a laser pointer in the carriage cover, so there's 2 wires for the laser pointer and 2 wires for the solenoid that raises and lowers the blade. So we're going to want to make sure that we keep these in the same order when we replace them. Now in this case it's black, red, and you're not sure which wire goes to which. So if we want to see more details, we can remove the carriage cover. There's a fastener here, tiny little one, and then there's one on the side over here. You can remove these 2 fasteners and then remove the carriage carefully, keeping in mind that the laser pointer is connected to the cover right there, and you don't want to, these wires are kind of fragile. So you can kind of follow the wires here. So the laser is on the right, the carriage, the solenoid is on the left. So it's black, red solenoid, black, red laser pointer. So always take a picture of it before you disconnect anything. So now to replace this board, what we need to do is we need to unfasten the fasteners in this terminal block. When they're unfastened, these connections will pull out. These 2 fasteners should be unfastened, and then when these are unfastened, this will come off down, it'll fall down below. Now it might be easier to work on this if we remove the carriage, and the cover fastener that we took out here actually locks the carriage in place. So without that fastener there, it's easy to remove the carriage. what we want to do is we want to push straight down on the carriage, and it's spring loaded. Carefully pivot the bottom out just a little bit, and then take the carriage off the rail. And this will allow you access to the bottom of these fasteners here, because it's very difficult to get this on and off without accessing the bottom because there's nuts under here. So we would unfasten this, unfasten this, unfasten this, and this comes out with this connector shroud. If you pull it out towards you, it will unlock. So when this shroud is pushed in, it locks. When you pull it out, it unlocks, and then this cable will come out. So make sure you put the cable back in the same way. Put the connector shroud in. In this case, you can see there's some glue on here to hold it in place. It's just a standard hot glue. You can glue it. You might, if the connector shroud is snug, and you squeeze it down with a pair of pliers gently, it should retain it without the glue, I would think. So make sure you get the correct carriage position sensor. Like I said, there's about 7 or 8 versions of this. And different ones have different connections. If you have an arms system, there'll be an arms laser down here, and you'll get a connector for the arms laser, which is different than the laser pointer connections that you can see here. And then basically what you're going to do is you're going to put everything back in the same order. So the carriage, and be careful because you don't want, there's a, if you can see underneath here, there's an optic sensor here underneath the board that has to ride this rail, and the optic sensor will see this notch over here at the end. So you want to be careful when you're putting this back on that the optic sensor properly straddles the rail and that you don't damage it when you're putting this on. So it's just a small angle. You push down, tilt the bottom in and up. So push down, out, hook that on the rail, push down and in. So that's the motion to get it on and off real easy. And then you're basically going to reverse everything. Put everything back in the opposite order that you took it apart. Put the fasteners back in, put the end caps back on, and you should be good to go. If there's any questions, please give us a call, 888-828-8776. Thank you.